Land contracts for sellers pose lots of problems to the sellers, and primarily because in the 70s, the Indiana courts passed a rule in a case called Skinsel v. Marshall. And the Indiana courts have said that, in essence, a land contract has to be treated like a note and mortgage for purposes of the owner reacquiring possession and control of the property. In Indiana, the foreclosure process can be long and is often expensive. And so given the choice between getting the property back quicker under, say, an eviction, in an eviction court in that type of setting, as opposed to going through the very long process of foreclosure, the choice really is simple. Landlords really should, and real estate investors really should, figure out ways to avoid foreclosure. That means avoiding land contracts. Now, one possible exception is if the buyer insists on a land contract and the buyer is willing and able to provide a substantial amount of equity. That equity cushion is in essence prepaid damages if the buyer defaults. In other words, if the buyer provides a large down payment or improves the property, or the property appreciates substantially after the land contract is signed, then the seller's got a little bit of cushion. And that cushion is going to be eaten up in time value of money, real estate taxes, insurance, and all the other damages that the seller would incur while the buyer is forcing the seller through the foreclosure process. We really don't like land contracts for sellers. It's only in those rare cases where we advise a client to go ahead and proceed. The alternative is we prefer that sellers, real estate investors, use other mechanisms like the lease with an option. There are other ways to structure the transaction, and these are all mechanisms for seller financing, but you got to be really careful because land contracts can really go sideways on the seller. Real estate investors often lose a lot of money using the wrong business structure with regard to selling or even buying real estate. So it's really important that you go see an attorney and a tax advisor who understands your risks and the upside if you do it properly.